Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Calgary Real Estate Show. This is January 1st, isn't it? Not
Yeah.
not April the 4th.
Yep.
I don't know
No,
what's
that's
going
great.
on where you are, but there's a lot of stuff falling from the sky. It's very fluffy,
It's
white.
wet.
It's wet.
It's heavy.
Annoying.
Here's my deal. On Global this morning, it's like, well, we've been telling people this is coming for a week. I'm like, that doesn't make it any easier. But we did know
No.
it's coming and warm temperatures on Monday, right, Natalie?
Yes, supposedly. We'll see. They
It
said
was
that this
so,
past week too, and it never really came about.
yeah, kind of, yeah, a little bit. A lot melted though. We all melted, and now we're back. So anyway, Jaden, how are you? You had to go toque this morning.
Yeah, Took. It was because of this January 1st weather. I went Took, and then I was getting ready for my video, and I realized, sans Took, I have hair like that. So Took
Yeah,
it is for today.
I
that
like
is
this.
not a problem I am familiar with, but I can appreciate that. All righty. Well, we got a big show coming up today. Whenever it's the monthly wrap up, it does go a little bit longer. So if you're waiting for that, that'll be kind of the last segment of the show. But let's get to the weekly stats. We're kind of going to roll through these. A couple of things I would point out. So new listings 521, 595 sales. So that's the lowest the sales have been since the last week of February into March.
Mhm.
Although, we'll see if that's a blip or not. New listings, that's the highest they've been. So, again, we'll see. We're not saying this is any kind of trend whatsoever because our sale to new listing ratio went down significantly from all the previous weeks down to 114.
Mhm.
Pendings of only 480. So, again, that is, it's lower than the last couple of weeks for sure. Days on market's the same. And we're creeping up on our active and pending listings in the city. So, 200 and what is that? About 230 more than we were 5 weeks ago. So, Natalie, what did it look like last year at the same time? And I'm not talking about the weather.
Yes, exactly. There's probably snow then too.
Yeah.
Last year, 571 for sales. This year, 566. So we're down 1%. New listings last year were 749. This year, 679. Little inversion of numbers there. So it's down 9%. Actives last year, 3251. This year, 2534. So we're still down 22%. And days on market last year was 25. This year is 20. So we are down 20% on that.
Yeah. And I mean, really, all we have to look at is the sales and the active listings to
Mm-hmm.
kind of go, that's why we're at where we're at.
Yes.
Saw another realtor this morning. Shout out to Tanya Eklund from Remax, who was talking about on Instagram how what is driving this. And we've talked about this before, but the numbers are they're expecting 50,000 people to move to Alberta. I think it was Alberta in 2022. So it's down slightly, and it's largely interprovincial migration. Where it's coming from doesn't really matter, but that is what's putting so much pressure
Mm-hmm.
on our prices, right? So, Jaden, what is going on mortgage wise? I feel like we're due for a rate decrease, but maybe I'm
Yeah,
just wishful thinking.
well, no, and you've seen a little bit of it across the board here. So that 499 was at a 514 on the 3-year fix for the insured, which is the first couple there. And so we're seeing things creep down, but it's really interesting because like I talk about this a little bit, but the bond market is doing a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
But lenders are wanting to be competitive right now, and so they're not reacting to the bond going up, right? So a lot of our lenders are saying, well, the bond is kind of creeping up. Watch out for rate hikes, get your deals in, and we're kind of saying, well, I don't think we need to make any snap decisions because of where the bond market is going right now. I think you're probably willing to take a little bit less of a margin to get in on this market right now and get a little bit of market share. So we're still seeing things go down. And the really interesting thing about this is that 3-year fix at 499 for the right client, I'm probably getting a quarter point off of that. You're closer to a 474 right now, right? So
Okay.
um, there's a lot of that in there, especially if you have a long possession. So I know that you guys are doing like 45, 30, 45 for possession, but let's say that you're kind of around that 120 day for possession. We know to place you with the right lender so that when the bond does dip down, we can put in a rate request and they kind of follow that and get you better rates as those things happen. So really, you have to be strategic specifically when talking about rate right now, and make sure that you're keeping on top of everything happening behind the scenes to get the best rate for your mortgage.
Right.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And if you want a lot more of a deep dive, I'm sorry I haven't promoted this before, Jaden, but you and it's your cousin, right?
Yeah.
You do something similar to this, but it's all about mortgages, right? Tell people when they can catch that and where to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Tips for mortgages. We're kind of all over the place just whenever we get a little free chance to talk. But it's more about like kind of what's going on in the market and where we see things heading. And so we really deep dive into why the Bank of Canada is making the decisions that they're making. What are the economics that's going behind? What's happening in the United States, which affects Canada, and just to kind of give a little bit more of a view of where we think rates are headed in the next 6 to 18 months.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jaden. Oh, that's just
Yeah.
that's very.
This is my
Ugly
end of month
rooms.
thing that we always do. So we have a lot of information to go through. So this is just the fun one. This kitchen looks to me like a bit of a safari blew up in a French chateau. So I don't know. Okay, let's go.
Ooh.
But the volcano fireplace. Can you imagine trying to take that thing out?
Oh,
I can't. It's so big. Anyway,
that is crazy.
the under the sea living room.
Love it.
I know it is. It's a lot. Okay.
That feels like something you would find in Florida or some sort of coastal area.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. How about this?
Ooh.
Waterbed. This to me is, we always talk about in staging that every room has to have a purpose. I'm thinking they misplaced this one a little bit. Like,
yeah, you wouldn't want to be a sleepwalker in this room.
oh my word, you'd wake up real quick. So, and this one, the living room doggy pool. The dog looks very happy there. And I also love how they have lawn furniture in their house, which is so.
Each to their own. Just don't ask us to sell that for you.
Exactly. All right.
That's awesome.
And the Mayan temple kitchen island. I like the sink is in the island and it's so tall. Like I'd be doing dishes like this. But anyway, that
is something I've never seen any of these before. So that is crazy. All right. So that was great. Thank you for that, Natalie. And just run through a few community events. I'll just point out a couple of new ones here. So we actually did a ghost tour on our trip to Florida. We went to St. Augustine, which is the oldest continuously settled city in North America. I did a ghost tour there. It was, kind of fun. It's cheesy, but fun. So they're doing them at Heritage Park until April 24th. Those are in the evenings from 7 to 9. And then the Calgary Wranglers are wrapping up their home schedule next weekend against Abbotsford. And they think there's another weekend and they're away. And I think the playoffs start after that. So that'll be playoff hockey in our city, professional playoff hockey, which we won't be seeing from the big league club with the flaming C on their chest. So there are some community events. So now let's get to our monthly market wrap up. And as I mentioned, when we look at our market right now, it is driven by net migration, job creation. People are moving here because there are jobs, things like that. So when we look at overall benchmark price, almost 11% up. Sales are almost 10% up. But here's the challenge. New listings, minus 4.3%. Total inventory, minus almost 22%. Months of supply, 0.95. So 30% of probably was about a month, almost a month and a half last year. And then days on market, as we've been seeing over the weeks here in March, really has decreased compared to last year. So let's break down the numbers. So a couple of things I'll point out as we go through these. So really what we're concerned about is, what is the actual months of supply. Price increases, those are great on paper. They're great if you're looking at doing a home equity line of credit, some sort of takeouts and do some renovations or pay some bills, which you would want to talk to Jaden about. So detached side, sales are up 1% year over year. New listings down 14, inventory down 28%. And 70% of the inventory right now is over $700,000. That's part of the challenge, right?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, I want to just pull that up here. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, overall, 71% of the available inventory in March was priced above $700K. I'm not completely losing my marbles. Yeah, so that's part of the challenge. So semi-detached, 14% price increase. 15% up on sales, but total inventory, which is really the number we're most concerned about, minus 28%. And again, less than a month of supply. Row townhouses, more sales, more new listings, but overall our inventory was still down 12%. It's just all getting sold. That produced a 20% price increase on row townhouses. Apartments, massive amount of sales, because we had a significant bump up again in new listings, but our inventory, again, still down 14% year over year, just over a month of supply there. And that's all due to people saying, you know what, I'm done being a landlord. We're listing a property this weekend up in Abbeydale. And that is because he's just like, yep, I'm just done. I lived there and then I rented it out. Had some unfortunate tenant circumstances, which led him to say, you know what, I'm done. And he will do very, very well with that. And it'll be a great starter home or investment property for somebody. So on the apartment condos, they rose 17% year over year. So when we roll around the city here, Airdrie, very similar situation. You know, their inventory was down 22% year over year. Their sales were up 30, almost 32%. New listings did bump up a little bit, and then you see price increases across the board. And these price increases, not only year over year, but we're talking $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, in some circumstances, 20 and higher, depending on the segment and the surrounding area from last month.
Yeah.
From last month. So, you know, I think this has died down a little bit, but these people that are, actually I had somebody say to me last night, so yeah, it's look, I kind of had, my parents were looking and they were thinking the market was going to come down, but it's never going to come down as fast as it goes up. That's part of the challenge, right? With the demand we have now. So, you know, it's up to each individual buyer. Our recommendation is always, does the house fit that 85% of your checklist? If so, write an offer, right? Date the rate, marry the house. And guess what? You can actually divorce the house in 5 to 7 or 10 years too. All right. So let's go to Cochrane. Similar story here. 12% price increases for detached and semi, 11% for row townhouses, 15% for apartments. They really jumped up there. They had more new listings, more sales, but total inventory, again, not a whole lot of data here, so we want to be careful, but that was down 22%, and a month and a quarter of supply in terms of months. And then finally in Okotoks, similar, detached, 10% increase, semi-detached, 13% up, row townhouse, 17% up. That's pretty traditional, right? The row townhouses are the ones that are really getting the big price bumps. Apartments went up 10%. There was more new listings. There was 18% more sales, but 10% down in inventory, and then just under a month of supply in Okotoks. And that is it. I'm just going to remove that from the screen. I'm just going to read a little bit from Krebs' kind of overall view. So we've actually not seen March conditions this tight. And when they say that, that means inventory versus sales since 2006. So the sales rose to 2,664 units, a 10% increase over last year, much higher than long-term trends. But the 3,172 new listings were still below what we typically see in March, and really not relative to sales to drive any change in the supply. So sales to new listing ratio in March was 84% overall. And actually, interestingly, on that 2006 year, that's actually the last time we reported high levels of interprovincial migration and months of supply below 1 month. So we've been saying that for years now, and that is really it, right? It's job creation in Alberta creates this interprovincial migration, or you have people that are like, it doesn't matter where I live, right, Natalie? Like we have clients that are like, oh yeah, I work from home. I moved here from GTA area, and I, saved half the money on the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that is it. Got it under 15 minutes. Woo!
That's pretty good.
Atta boy.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is I do a Woodbine market report here as well for our Woodbine Facebook page. Like here we're less than half a month of supply. Like it's just bonkers. So what I'm trying to say is reach out for your particular community. If you're just curious, we'll post some links down below or above, depending on what you're watching this on. If you want to book just a quick call to talk about what pricing looks like in your area, And again, it doesn't matter whether you're selling or not. We love talking about this kind of stuff. So, use our knowledge in that area. And as we said, and we're saying now, like, let us help you navigate it, right? Like, you go to Jaden for mortgage advice. And a lot of times people kind of start their search online, which is totally cool, but get a professional involved, especially in this kind of market. You need some guidance because it's a bit crazy out there, and not just talking about the weather.
Yeah.
So that is it.
Exactly.
That is it. Jaden, hopefully you can take that toque off in the next few days.
Well, I'm banking on Natalie. It's just staying on till Monday, I guess. But Monday is coming up.
All right.
Exactly.
We'll hold you to that. Make sure you send a picture. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you all in 7 days.
Bye.